Over 60% of Malaysian homes use the connected services as opposed to the septic tanks. Now, to help answer our questions with regards to connected services, we have with us once again Mr. Ridhuan Ismail, the Executive Director of SPAN, which is the National Water Services Commission. Ridhuan, nice to have you again.
Sure.
Okay, so septic tanks, we've spoken about that. Now we talk about connected services. Tell us about connected services. What do we need to know about it?
Yeah, Connected Sewerage Services is actually a system whereby the sewage treatment plant is located outside the premise of owners. That means the treatment plants have a connection of sewer lines which carry the waste from the premise to the treatment plants. So that's a connected sewerage service.
Right, okay. So the main difference is that I don't have to call anybody to come and bring a truck over to my home like what we saw in septic tanks, the episode featuring septic tanks.
Right.
Instead, this time around, it's all almost automated.
Exactly.
Because everything is connected via pipes. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, so 60% of Malaysian homes use these services. What sort of homes normally use the connected sewerage services?
These are homes that are built more than 30 units of houses or 150 population equivalent. So those developers that build that type of development need to provide a connected service where they need to provide a treatment plant for waste treatment.
So safe to say most of the kawasan perumahan, taman-taman perumahan, the housing estates in Malaysia use this service.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, tell us about the processes. What happens from the moment we flush or we turn the tap on in our own homes?
The waste that is generated from our homes will go through a series of pipes that will leave the house compound to a common public sewer network pipe. So that network pipe of sewage would convey the sewage to a treatment plant where it will be treated, and the effluent that is resulted from the treatment will be then discharged back to the environment. That will meet the national standards anyway.
Right, I see. Okay, there are many questions that are popping up in my head just from that explanation there. First and foremost, so this is all sorts of sewerage, be it solid and also liquid-based sewerage. It all comes into the national grid, if we can call it that, and it comes to these sorts of plants. So tell us about the plants. How many of the plants do you have in the country, and what sort of plants do you have?
Yes, of course, since the development of these sewerage systems are developed by the developers themselves, there are various types of development that has been made by the developers. So currently, these public plants are being maintained by Indah Water, and since 1994, there are about 5,000 of these various types of treatment plants that Indah Water has been operating since 1994. Yeah,
right.
So there are various types.
So around 5,000 or
Yeah.
perhaps even more.
Yeah.
Now, where we are right now, clearly this is a very big plant. So is this the common type, or do you actually have smaller ones servicing smaller areas?
Of course, this is a 100,000 population equivalent treatment plant. We have about less than 100 of these big types of waste treatment facilities. The common type is 80% of development now is having a population equivalent of 5,000. So of these are smaller packages plants that actually have a lower capacity of treating the waste anyway. But these types of facilities are only built to cater regional areas of facilities, regional development.
Right, I see. Okay, so for example, if we take this particular plant, for example, this is of course in the Desa Tun Razak area. So this plant can service up to 100,000 individuals, or about, I would imagine, 20,000 homes, yeah?
Yes.
And what areas does this plant service?
This will cover the Bandar Tun Razak as well as the surrounding conurbations of Bandar Tun Razak, including Taman Konot, and the nearest one will be Taman Mulia. So they will cover the whole catchment. What we built in the treatment plant is covering a particular catchment, whereby development within that catchment will be treated by this treatment plant.
Right. Well, the first thing that I noticed when I drove in was that it's green, it looks quite pleasant, and you don't have those big unsightly ponds, and you keep on thinking, oh my god, what happens if I fall in those ponds? So ponds, those aerated with the aeration machines, are those things of the past?
Yes, those are built during the 80s, where the technology as well as the capability of maintaining treatment plants are still low. But now, after we have developed Indah Water themselves have already developed their skills in operating treatment facilities, they can go for sophisticated as well as more mechanized systems like this that we are extending it right now.
Right, I see. So as we move forward, more and more housing developments would employ such plants or smaller versions of the newer plants rather than the kolam that we traditionally see.
Right,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Now, coming back to your statement earlier, you said that the effluent would actually then be put out again to the environment, meeting the exacting standards of the Ministry of Environmental Health. So, what sort of products are we talking about here? Is it water? Is it solid waste? What sort of effluent?
Yes, in any sewage treatment plants, there are two streams of waste. One is the water component, which is the effluent. That, as you correctly say, will meet the national standards. And then we have the solid component, which we call it biosolids. So these biosolids are actually treated by indoor water in certain plants to turn into soil conditioner, and they will then market this, to the public. But it's not in all plants, but they are slowly developing better standards of biosolids.
Right, I see.
Yes.
Okay, so the biosolids. So basically, if you can just imagine it, you've got water that is dirty with sludge and all that, and you would somehow do mechanical separation of that and also chemical, and you will compress the sludge into biosolids and market it, and then the effluent is basically the water element to it. When you say it's put out again to the environment, how?
Well, it's just be discharged into a nearby drain, where the drain will lead to a natural water course within the area. So that's basically the
I see.
disposal
So
part.
it's pretty much a simple formula, and one that I'm sure has been tested and proven. Okay, now let's talk about the difference in commitment for the consumer here. I know septic tanks, you have to call the people, and every couple of months, and then they'll have to come and service their homes. What do you have to do with the connected service?
Well, the connected service is just we need to maintain the consumer will need to maintain their own private pipe, which is the pipe from the premise of the owner to the public sewer pipeline. That portion is still responsibility of the owner to actually maintain. So in order, maintenance means just not to throw things that might block that passage of network. So if it's just purely household waste, there shouldn't be any problem. I think the issue now is people are throwing more things inside a sewage pipe rather than just sewer.
Let's spend the next minute talking about the do's and don'ts of good pipe maintenance here. I mean, to make your job slightly easier, I would imagine. So how, what are some of the most common misconceptions people think? I know that before we start rolling earlier, we were talking about people throwing fatty stuff, oily substances into pipes, and that's a big no-no. Tell us about this kind of stuff then.
Well, I think because of the nature of these fats and oil which actually block the sewer pipe, so most of these pipes will be blocked through the thickening of the fats within the sewer pipe. So we hope that consumers will not be throwing so much oils and fats into the sewer pipeline. I think this is more pertinent to those eating places as well as restaurants, which should have their own grease and oil treatment before actually discharging into a public sewer. So we hope that public can actually control the disposal of oil and fats into the sewer pipeline.
And is this a major problem, oils and fats in the pipeline?
Yes, I think it is a major pipelines where they have, it's not so much for the domestic, but it's much more for the commercial areas. As I say, there are there are fast food restaurants, there are food courts, and there are also markets which actually throw these types of waste into the sewer.
I see, okay. And it is your job to actually come in and clear things up.
It's IWK's job, but we need to monitor those incidences so that those incidences will remain low as possible.
I see, okay. Well, final question. We have about 30 seconds left. Let's talk about cost here. This, of course, is one of those costs that people tend to conveniently forget to factor into the cost of home ownership. How much does it cost to maintain this connected services for an individual?
I think for indoor water, the charges that they are putting it up to the public mouth for domestic is only 8 ringgit per month. That's 27 cents
per day. Yeah.
So, but the cost of operating these systems is higher than that. definitely higher than that. And of course, we would like Indoor Water to actually lower down the cost, but there's a limit to which Indoor Water can actually perform. So we really need the public to understand that there is a cost in maintaining all types of connected services.
Right, I see, of course. Okay, Mr. Ridhuan, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
I hope everybody knows what happens when you flush. I hope you do, and I hope you're clued in. Well, that's it from me in the first segment. As usual, in the second and third segment, Lina does not have to deal with sewerage and stuff like that. She's probably doing something nice in some nice apartment. So stay with us on In Realty. I'm going to watch because I'll be jealous. Stay with us.